So are there other influences to your music besides music?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Wow. How long do you want to talk about this?
I don't know. I mean,
Diaries, Mark?
like, I mean, I guess because the reason I ask is because obviously, I mean, in film, you're not. I mean, we're not just being influenced by film to tell the stories that they tell. There's other things that work their way in.
You know what's funny is no one's ever asked that question before, and I feel like that's probably the only good question that's ever been asked about this. Seriously. They're always like, so you obviously like the Beatles. Right. Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Receptive. Like everything is, I mean,
Books.
just life, I mean, family, everything.
I think the fact that like all of us kind of like transplanted to one city obviously like stirred up some like, you know, being homesick, missing friends, driving from one end of the country to the next. There's like completely different climate and just the environment around you is totally different. And like being in Kansas is actually the first time, like maybe just east of the like Colorado is like finally starting to look like Virginia a little more. And so just growing up there, like just like like where you grow up, you know, the kind of like the trees that you're always around and everything. When that shifts, it's like this huge stir of creativity, I think, because you're like, you know, it's like when I moved out to Seattle, nobody had seen a lightning bug before, which blew my mind.
Yeah.
And we just saw a locust today, like the exoskeleton, and Kenny seriously was like freaking out. He was like, "What is that?" He's like moving away. It's funny. So.
Well, I think there's a tug and pull between that too, because like in a song like Ghost, where it's like you're yelling out, I've changed. I mean, there's the longing for that return, but also the desire to.
Yeah, like distance yourself from
totally
what you
tug of
once
war,
were, like you're now a different person.
Right. And I mean, again, to relate it back, I mean, that's what's going on in here. I mean, you saw it in My So-Called Life last night.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Great show.
Yeah, it's still very real. I mean, that desire to be old but young, I mean, all of that still.
No, it's wild. Like in like high school and college, you know, it was weird. I think especially, I guess even more high school. You guys know what I'm talking about, but I'm not. But you like have all of your old friends, but you're starting to like become like a different person than they were, and it's a funny thing to try and explain to them, or to come to terms with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
How do you feel?
It's a classroom. I don't know, library that.
All my friends are talking about leaving, about leaving.
One day we'll all be found, 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 found.
How important for instance, like Ghost, it's a very powerful song. So how important is the story of that song, like in the whole aspect of like the music? Like is that influencing you, like how you're playing, or I don't know, how important is story in it?
Like do the words kind of influence what kind of music we write around it?
Yeah.
I think it was kind of the opposite, actually.
Yeah.
We had some you had a progression, and when it was played on piano, it kind of stirred up different ideas. Like you would have the progression for a while, right?
Yeah.
And then you played it on piano, and I just instantly was thinking about all my old friends in Virginia and how like everyone's gonna move, and like I was the first to go, and like they're still sitting there. And then I find out like Andrew moves back to South Carolina, and he's just gonna be there for the rest of his life, which is great. But like everyone was saying that they were all like had these grand ideas, and I was the only one to actually go.
It's funny, that song too, I feel like, that was one of the first songs we kind of worked out together and wrote together last summer. And I'd only been in Seattle for about a month, and he just moved to Virginia. I mean, you've been in Seattle longer, but we were all feeling that way. I felt like all of my friends were still sitting at home doing nothing, and I was the one that got up and left and was doing something with myself. And,
But yeah, I don't know, like that's one of the few songs though that like the music kind of came before the words.
yeah. And we have like recordings of that song, like old recordings where it's like all the music and half the words
Just,
are
like,
mumbled.
scat
Like we don't have, we don't have like any of the words yet. Yeah.
But it actually kind of varies. Like some songs, there's another song that we aren't gonna play where like when the music did
One example that I
match.
show you.
Well, when the music did match the words, it was like a very kind of like it was a slower, and it was kind of kind of like a longing song for someone that's left, and the music when we wrote it as a band was actually like really upbeat. It changed. It's kind of weird. The whole song is really upbeat, but the words throughout it are really sad. And only like the very last line of the song does the music kind of like come down and match that tone. It's odd. We don't necessarily always like match them. It's sometimes odd where you have like very happy lyrics over like a very somber thing, or the opposite.
Yeah, like Ghost, for example.
Yeah.
Anybody ever listen to like the Postal Service?
Yeah.
It's like super upbeat music. It's all digital and poppy, and the lyrics are just like heartbreaking.
Yeah.
The whole album is like a heartbreak.
Yeah.
Like,
It's Ben Gibbard for you.
Yeah.